Hello, my name is Liliana Mota. My topic for today will be education inequality, poverty, and Latinos in the United States. The reason why I chose this topic in specific is because I am a Latina student trying to pursue higher education. Um, in my K through 12 education, I experienced education inequality. I also come from a low income family, and I'm an immigrant in the United States. So I came back in 2004 when I was 13 years old. And I chose this topic because basically I relate to it. For my student learning outcomes, I have the students will be able to apply the sociological theory of conflict to understand the academic disparities in today's public education system and how these disparities further contribute to the marginalization of people based on their race and social class. For the second learning objective, I have that students will be able to identify the external factors that influence the educational experience of Latino children. They will also look at the disproportionate distribution of resources and how these have helped widen the educational gap between white students and students of color. And my third objective will be that students will be able to reflect on their own academic background by participating in a Kahoot survey activity. They will be answering questions based on their ethnicity, socioeconomic status, and school experience. In addition to this activity, I will also be asking students to share their opinions about the results of the survey through a class discussion. For this slide, I wanted to present the connection between poverty and education, and I have some facts that I just wanted to share. So for LA Unified, 3 out of 4 students are Latinos, and from those students, 4 in 5 are from low-income families. 40% of high poverty schools are not getting a fair share of state, local, local funds, and 1 out of 5 students nationwide are either in poverty or attending a high poverty school, or sometimes both. Poor students experience health issues stemming from non-nutritional diets, homelessness. Some experience food insecurity, and others don't have the ability to receive medical treatment, sometimes based on their immigration status. Students living in poverty also experience fewer resources at home. They have a hard time completing homework. It's also hard for them to find a quiet place to study or to complete their responsibilities, and it's also hard for them to engage in activities because sometimes they don't have the space or they live in a small apartment. And yeah, so many impoverished families lack resources to computers and high-speed internet. For this section, I just wanted to point out that there's a technology gap between low-income students and higher-income students. So many income students have to, like, for example, share computers and devices with their siblings, and that puts them at disadvantage compared to other children. So these will be the titles of the following of the next slides will be based on common themes that I found between my articles and my sources. So the tracking system and its harmful effect on Latinos has been one that has caught my attention. So the tracking system is a method in which secondary schools group students according to their abilities, IQs, or their achievement levels. Some of the harmful effects that tracking system has is that it labels some students as inferior. These are usually minority students like Latinos and African American students. The tracking system also reinforces unequal educational experience. Tracking system separates gifted students from low performing students, and low performing students often receive non-challenging material. The tracking system also affects students' perceptions of themselves, and it could also help impact the behavior and manner in which they act. Prison pipeline is another theme that comes up in my sources. So the definition will be the disproportionate tendency of minors and young adults from disadvantaged backgrounds that become incarcerated because of harsh school policies. The disciplinary policies and practices create an environment for the school to prison pipeline. Schools with higher percentage of Black and Latino students are more likely to implement the zero tolerance policy, and high policing in schools with low income is also very common. And in addition to the things I mentioned above, stereotypes also play a big role. So, for example, stereotypes like Latino students are lazy, they're not smart, they will never attend college. Those stereotypes also label and prepare students to to enter the criminal justice system instead of preparing them for higher education. So in this slide, I wanted to share that racial segregation in schools um, is very important in order to understand the connection between uh, education inequality, poverty, and Latinos, because racial segregation it's mainly due to income. So, for example, if you could see right here in the yellow part, for example, the part in South Central, which is you could see is very low income, and for example, the orange part will be the wealthiest areas in LA County. So, for example, it will be like the West Side beach cities, and like for example, Santa Monica Mountains, and those areas are usually affluent neighborhoods with better schools, better resources, and overfunded programs.